What about what about rule number 2? Take on the toxic overload. Talk about that for a moment.
So we're being held hostage because of the environment. One of my friends once said we need 3 livers to detoxify all the environmental assault. So you got the EMS that we're living with. You've got the toxic overload from the heavy metals. You got the glyphosates. You got the nano aluminum. So we're living in toxic soup, and you have to do a daily detox, something for your liver to get rid of all these toxic overloads. Make sure that your bile is clean and thinned out, because that's where all the toxic overloads get sent. So I think it's very important that we realize that these things are not just toxic, but they're cumulative. Yeah. And the 2 that are the most toxic of everything in that chapter, what would you think of in terms of heavy metals, Dr. Drew?
Well, I mean, you talked about lead, you talked about mercury. I think you also talked about aluminum as well.
Aluminum. And why aluminum? Because it can end up in the brain. So yes. We know that aluminum is a problem. Years ago, they used to say aluminum was very connected to dementia, all kinds of Alzheimer's. Then they said there wasn't any research. But in my book, I do some research with a Dr. Christopher Exley out of the UK, who's known as Mr. Aluminum. He published 150 papers and found conclusively that people that had severe Alzheimer's also had extraordinarily high, skyrocketing levels of aluminum. So the question is, where is it coming from? It's coming from your antiperspirants. It's coming from your pots and pans. It's coming from some of your drugs, your medications, maybe some of the antacids, but you've got to really watch the aluminum. So no aluminum foil in the kitchen. My teacher used to say, I'd rather have a deadly serpent than aluminum foil.
Drew's wife is a naturopath, and she uses parchment paper.
Yes.
For everything. Yes. We bake everything.
Glass. She puts the parchment paper on glass. So, you have a clean pan to work with, and at the same time, you're protecting yourself from, heavy metals.